Can I call you Tom, or would you?
Well, I don't mind it. I would prefer if you said doctor.
Okay, Doctor.
Let's keep it professional. Yeah.
Mate, Doctor Who has to be the weirdest show on television.
Yes.
You are the star of this show, Tom. Doctor.
Yes.
You weird, mate? Hey? No, like, it's not like Star Wars or anything, is it? It's just,
Oh, no, I think it's a step up from that, isn't it, I think?
yeah.
Which
Well,
is
more serious.
Which is not a big step, but I mean, it is a step up from it. I didn't think it really admits of comparison with any of those things. I think that's why the big young following we have, the children following, it is because there's no competition, really, which is actually conceding a big advantage, isn't it? I mean, it's much easier to sell something if there's no competition. It's like being the only pub with beer in the street. But, I mean, that's the truth of it.
Well, let me just remind you about Doctor Who. You gotta realise this is one of the most popular shows in the world for how long?
17 years.
You will release me. You will return me to the Daleks.
Shut up or I'll switch you off. Quick, back this way. Tyson, back down the corridor and check it. Shifting, stand back.
Well, you didn't do that very well, did you?
I didn't do it.
Tyson, the corridor's full of Daleks.
What? Then we're effectively boxed in.
Mate, does it have a deep inner meaning that's sort of escaping me?
You know, there was a certain effrontery about that, wasn't there, really?
Yeah, it is, because when we were talking earlier with Star Wars, and they have the decency to go and spend $100 million so we don't have to have any imagination. I saw a recent thing where you had the evil people, they were just glad wrapped, with silver sprayed on them. Well, you're making us use our imagination, and this is just not on, mate. Doctor?
You see, I think that really, when I said we're not competing with anyone, I think that what we try to do in our small way, and it is only small, is that we try to actually engage the attention of the audience by allowing the children the maximum imaginative responsibility so that they can share my so-called dilemmas and everything. And that's why it works, the emphasis in our program, as opposed to most other science fantasy and science fiction programs, the emphasis is on the dilemma the characters are in, because we're only interested actually in what people are up to. It's not the size of the car or how big the explosion is. I don't think so anyway. So that when something really important happens, if someone says, I know lots of children, someone says, Susanna Woolley died last night, she didn't come home from school till 7 o'clock.
Huh.
And the other child says, 7 o'clock? What did her mother say? And that actually is fundamentally exactly what we want to know, isn't it? Is what people do under. They say, what did he say?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a question of she said, well, she got the Rolls Royce out and backed it over to chickens or something. She said, well, what did she say? How did she react? And I think that simple emphasis in our program saves us from having to compete with the stuff which is large and explosive and very expensive. So I think that they're wrong, and judged by the response of our audience that we are right.
What do you think would happen if someone said, we're going to make a Doctor Who movie, but it's only made in Hollywood, and the budget's going to be $100 million? Do you think the effects would ruin Doctor Who?
I wouldn't be all that impressed by it going to Hollywood with a $100 million budget. I don't think an increase in the budget actually would really improve the style of it.
Except perhaps a bit more for you.
Yeah, but I mean...
We'll fix that, mate.
That's not important, really, is it?
No. Do you think...
I just feel my heart's still beating. I mean, that's important. I just nudge on from,
Why haven't we had a
one
Doctor Who?
accident.
It would seem like after Star Wars and Star Trek, the most boring movie in the world, Star Trek, the Doctor Who
Oh, that's not
would
true.
kill him at
No,
the
no, it's not true. It was the second most boring movie in the world.
What was the most boring?
Well, I don't want to. I'm not here
You've been
actually to
seeing
promote any
Australian
kind.
pictures, haven't
I'm
you?
not going to promote any kind of movie. I think the last Star Trek was a failure. Really, I do. But I mean, never mind. Ask me something really compelling.
I would really like to know why we don't have a Doctor Who movie. It seems to me the most obvious way to make a fortune in movies.
Yes, it does. It does. But you see, movie makers, you must understand, are really very, very cautious people. Extremely cautious. I don't think they really take many chances at all, and certainly in large budget pictures. The whole thing is slide ruled out, and they investigate the whole thing, and there's really no risk at all in what they do. I don't think, anyway. It's
Well, we're not
pretty
going to discuss the
guaranteed.
movie anymore.
No,
Let's discuss when you were a dog. Remember when you first started off,
Yes, that's
before you
right.
were famous Doctor Who,
That's right, yes.
you started off as a dog.
I was out of work, and somebody offered me a dog part in a review.
Yes,
And, and I've got my pride.
yes.
And so I said, well, certainly, yes, I'll play a dog if it pays. And so I played the dog. And at that time, the National Theatre was scouting round for talent. And they're not too proud either. And they came up and they saw me playing this dog, and they offered me a job there because...
Could you just give us a rough
really-
idea how you play a dog?
Well, I mean, I can't really...
You're younger then, anyway.
I was younger, yes,
Yes.
and brighter, and enthusiastic, and of course out of work,
Yes.
which I'm not now. And so I got the job because Sir Lawrence, I think, probably adores animals. I think that's really, he's a very kind man, and he thought, well, a dog. And then they gave me a huge part in playing a horse, which rather chastened me slightly. And then finally I gravitated towards human beings, and that's when my career began to decline a bit, actually. I think I was much better
When you were typecast.
at the beasts, yeah, typecast. Yes, I was much better at the more fantastical things. And then this came up to say that, and of course, it's not like people say that money isn't really important. It's always suspect that. No, I don't ever think that it would be better not to be Doctor Who. Not because I don't sometimes resent people intruding on me in pubs or hotels or those places where I live after hours, but the real joy of it is that I am made to feel important by innocent children. And I'm not asking you to say, because I said they're innocent, but to actually be the center of attention from small children is a huge charge and extremely gratifying. To be instantly intimate in our society with small children puts one in a minority practically of one.
When you're in Grace Brothers tomorrow, or Grace Brothers stores, where are we? We're at Broadway and Chatswood tomorrow. We're Ingrid and Bondi on Thursday. When the kids come up to you, and there's hardly tens of thousands of kids up at this hour, mate, watching television. Good on you, kids. When their parents are down the pub, they watch the show. Do they ask you anything, or are they just pleased to be with you?
No, they don't. They hardly ever ask me anything except how I am, and they worry about me a lot. And they really are usually bringing me little letters and paintings and jelly babies and all. They really, want to mother me all the time, and that's very sweet and gentle. It's splendid, because I'll never have a job again in my life where, say, don't talk to strange men doesn't apply to. I'll never have a sweeter, gentler job my whole life. I don't mind that the students think it's silly or that I'm actually I thyroid condition, but it doesn't matter with the sweetness of it all.
I think all the people who are watching who think that TV for kids has to be more and more educational should have a real good look at Doctor Who tomorrow night and realise that our kids' imagination is the greatest thing we can give them. And I reckon Doctor Who's doing more than any other show. It's really nice to meet you, Tom. We'll have commercials and back to discuss Earthwatch.